Hello, all of you lovely cat aspirants. I hope you guys are doing well, and I really mean it when I say that. With just counted number of days to the examination, I know how the hearts must be pumping. And it is now time to pull up both the shoes and the socks and go all guns blazing. At this point of time, practice can take no discount. We have to make sure that on daily basis, we touch base with all of the sections and do a minimum number. And when I say minimum, nothing shy of 5 to 6 passages. Of course, the reading comprehensions with respect, the other practices with respect to the VARC, and so on and so forth. But with a lot of practice, you will also see that there are a few things that must be periodically going wrong for you. There's a loop. It's like a vicious circle wherein we tend to fall trap of even if we try to be very careful. Now, sometimes somebody just pinpointing them and you remembering them on top of your minds is all what it needs. So here I am trying to help understand what the cat pattern is, what their mentality is, and for you to be able to engage in a bulletproof strategy by ensuring that these are the kinds of traps you don't fall for. Because cat loves them, and it has been a performer or it has been a ritual for cat to keep asking these or to keep goofing up on these aspects. So this YT is going to be very important for everybody. You be an aspirant this year, next year, or you are still in the doldrums of whether I should prepare or not. This is going to be very helpful for everybody because these are the places wherein you might want to pick yourself, gather again, and with the head held high, make sure that you're only going upwards and onwards. So without any further ado, let us begin with the topic that we have, which is going to be all about the 5 VARC traps that fool even the smart students and how is it that we can outsmart them. Now, how have I gotten to these 5? Simple. I have simply decoded the last year's papers and I found a pattern. And that pattern is very specific to the consortium. Simply why? Because they will always be testing. Those are crucial areas. Those are the landmines where they want to see whether you perform or you blast. So these are the kind of traps that are going to be very habitual to the CAT exam, and you getting better with those will always give you an edge over the other ones. Let's start by first having a nice vibe around why we are here, what we're going to be doing. Of course, by now you already have a brief of it, but let's begin on that note and then slowly slip into the important stuff, which are going to be all about the 5 traps that are going to be there. This is going to be a very short YT. Stay put until the end because what and the kind of information that you're going to be driving home from this is going to be very handy, very effective, and very productive. Let's begin. Now, as I say, hey folks, if VARC had a tagline, it would be looks easy, marks vanish. I'm sure. दिखने में सब बहुत आसान है, बस marks ही नहीं आते. But isn't that a paradox? Because if it looks easy, it should be raining marks. But welcome to the cat world. Things don't look and things never are as easy as they seem to be. Now, you read, you feel confident, you click that option and boom, cat says, gotcha. I have successfully been able to trap you. Now, this is the kind of trap we don't want to get into. So, welcome to the jungle of VARC, where logic meets illusion. They're all similar. And all what we have to do is just make sure that we're able to cite what we want. And today we're going to be decoding the 5 biggest traps that even the smartest of them do fall for. And we're also going to learn how to outsmart those. So by the end of this video, you will definitely stop losing onto those traps, and those marks will be in your kitty by default. So without any further ado, let us begin with the traps that we have, beginning with the first, which I like to call the echo trap. Now, this is a specific trap which they tend to play around in the RCs. Now, what does this trap engage you with? Now, this trap, it's the kind of trap that flatters your memory and insults your understanding. Trust me, right? Because it's going to resonate and it's going to show off itself and it's going to attract you in ways that are uncontrollable, and which is why we fall for them, thinking that what we have it is the best version of what we want, but no, that's not what it is. So cat gives you an option that sounds exactly like the line from the phrase, and you go, oh, I remember reading that. It's like a deja vu. We're like, oh no, I know this. Yes, you did, but cat just echoed your memory, not your comprehension. Please understand, it's a reading comprehension, it's not a memory test. They don't want to see what you've read, they want to know what you've understood. But then they play around with words that have been handpicked from the passage, and it just rings a bell. They're like, oh yeah, ye to tha, ye to hoga. But bhai, uske matlab batao, uske piche ka assumption, uske piche ka inference, what was that information doing there? What role was it playing was what was important, and not just mere reiteration of the idea. So, for example, the author argues democracy thrives when citizens are informed, right? Now, the trap is the author says democracy always thrives when the citizens are informed. Now, there is a cause and an effect over here, but then to say explicitly always, that is 100 times, that's not what it is. Now, we pay attention to the words and we're like, okay, bam, we've got an answer. But that's not what it is. Just one small word can always change the meaning. So the hack over here is don't fall for what sounds familiar. Choose the option that means the same, not sounds the same. In cat, it is the familiarity that is the new danger, is how they say. So you have to be careful. You have to make sure that you have an idea and you understand the comprehensive idea behind it, and then see which of the options is going to resonate that. Which is why the basic trick to do here is before you look at the options, have a version ready. So if there is a question and they ask me something, I will have a version that, okay, my answer needs to look like this. It needs to have these ingredients. Now, in your ingredient, I'm sure reiteration nahi hoga. तो आप क्यों ऐसा कोई option choose करोगे जिसमें reiteration होगा? So have a version ready so that you are not dissuaded or persuaded by any of the options otherwise. The next trap is what we call the keyword obsession. Now, this is the kind of trap you fall for mostly in the reading comprehensions and the para summaries. Now, what happens is the moment you see that word, your eyes light up. It's you're starry-eyed about it. You're like, oh, mil gaya, yahi to answer hona hai. So your eyes light up the moment you spot the same word in the passage. Industrial revolution, capitalism, technology. And then your eyes light up further, only to know there have been no marks that have been allotted to it. You get a 0. The marks disappear. Now, why? Because you have to understand that just because the keyword is there does not mean it is going to be the right answer. The keyword has to be in sync with what was being said in the passage and not otherwise. So, industrial revolution changed social structures more than economic ones. Now, the trap will be the industrial revolution brought massive economic changes. Although the keywords are there, but then the idea has been flipped altogether. The words are the same, but the context is not. So please make sure that you are not falling for anything like this. Just because it looks like a twin, that does not make it the answer at all. So don't chase words, as we always say, please chase the context. The context is always the king. Cat recycles words, always know of that, but it tends to twist the meanings, and that's what becomes the decisive index between what is the correct answer and what is going to be the wrong answer. So it's like seeing your ex's name in your inbox. Looks familiar, always, trust me, always ends very badly. Okay, the next trap that we have is what I like to call the overthinker's trap. Mostly the questions where, this trap becomes the most evident are the inferences question, which are a very, very important segment of the reading comprehensions. Now, that's the kind of trap. The trap where your brain says, I know more than the author. We become superheroes. We become these multi-talented people. We think that we are the ones who dictated the words, right? It's like we are the ones who are breathing life into the idea. But that's not what it is. The author is always the supreme. Now, when the role play happens and wherein we feel that we are better than the author or we are higher than the author in authority, these kinds of errors happen. So you start predicting, concluding, philosophizing, right? And cat just quietly smiles, watching you add the lines that never existed. Now, in this, what we do is we extend the scope. Now, in reading comprehensions, it is true. Whatever is said in the passage can only be the answer and not otherwise. You cannot extend the scope. whatever is being said, that is it, to the point, not a word further, not a word less. So please make sure that you are not adding, subtracting, modifying any information whatsoever. So people with high EQ tend to be better results. Now, what is a trap? Emotional intelligence guarantees leadership success, right? Now, what happened was you just upgraded tend to guarantees. And that is what becomes the hack over here. Cat didn't. You did. Because cat was playing safe with the words. You went adventurous with the words, not loud. So the hack is cat doesn't want creativity, it wants control. It wants to see how well are you in control of your mind and that it doesn't just keep mushrooming ideas altogether. So don't read between the lines, read on the lines. Inference is not imagination, it is deduction. It is a very disciplined deduction altogether. The next trap, the mandatory pair mirage. Now we have the rules of the mandatory pair, but are they bulletproof always? No. Now these are something that will work mostly in the parajumbles. Now what happens is we tend to find one link and suddenly we find that, oh, it's our soulmate. The other statement has to be that. And we say that, oh yeah, A and B go together. But cat's like, sure, let me break your heart for this one last line. Just because they have a common noun or just because they have a cause-effect relationship does not guarantee it 100% till the time you don't have the sequence ready. It can get you nearly to an answer, but is it going to be a short answer? No. So please be careful, be mindful, and be alert in how you come along with the series. So A and B share a common noun, looks like a strong pair. But then when you arrange the whole paragraph, you understand that the flow breaks. So we get the pairs so that our sequence do not multiply, obnoxiously. But we need to make sure that once the pair is done, we read it in that sequence to be able to be confirmed that, okay, is this what it is? So the hack is don't just make pairs, test them in the paragraph. You must read it in the sequence. If the pair breaks the global flow, it's a fake. Always remember, mandatory pairs are like those Tinder matches that we tend to have. They look they look absolutely correct at first, but then they fall apart the moment there is a deeper reading. Next, and the last trap that I want you to be careful about is the politeness trap. The ideas are presented so beautifully, so empathetically, so compassionately that we feel that no, this is what it needs to be. But no, just because I say sweetly doesn't mean I say the right thing, right? The kind of trap that you're often going to see with the tone questions and of course the para-summary questions as well. Now, CAT gives you options that sound nice, balanced, safe, civilized. You're like, no, this works. This works because this is how the context is. But the author wasn't being polite. The author was being pointed. You have to understand the author will always try and make a case there. Ultimately, you have to, nobody's judging you there with the kind of demeanor that you have. Ultimately, what we want to know is how well can you trace the direction of the author. So don't fall for that politeness. बस क्योंकि वो अच्छा है, वो beautiful है, वो सुंदर है, वो sound right करता है, वो civilized option है, does not make it the correct answer. So say for example, if the passage's tone is critical of capitalism, then the option says the author presents a balanced view of capitalism's pros and cons. That's not going to be the answer because if the author is criticizing, who are we to, mend that criticism? We can't do that at all. So the author was roasting capitalism there and not reviewing a Google information about it. So the hack is always match the tone, not the decency. It's not about a decorous statement. It's about a continuation of the idea. So if the author is sarcastic, your answer shouldn't sound diplomatic at all. So never sanitize the author's anger. If he's angry, you're angry. That's it. CAT punishes these peacekeepers. You're not working for the UN there. Be careful. So these are the 5 top things. Now, while all of the other are more strategic things, these are very uniform things that we often tend to, fall trap to. So if you're careful about these couple of things, you are going to be easily saving about 2 to 3 questions for yourself. And that is the kind of edge that you want, because in an examination as cutthroat as CAT, you have to be careful of where exactly are you going to be able to reap your marks. So next, what I have are the golden rules. Now, the biggest VARC lessons that you should know always, right? Now, first, please know CAT doesn't test how much you know, it tests how little you assume. So we want to make sure that we're able to contain and curtail our imagination Stick to the point and think for all relevant information which is around the point only. So some anti-trap checklist that you must always have is, am I choosing comfort over logic? Ask yourself. Because if it is comfort, it is not correct. Am I seduced by familiar words? Am I just being attracted to them, allured by them? Is that what it is? Is it actually the meaning that is coming out from that, or is it just love at first sight? Am I imagining what's not said? It has to be said. There has to be incidental information that you can relate to for it to be an answer. If not, it could just be a structure of your imagination. Am I ignoring the tone? Right? The tone plays a very crucial part, because a lot of times we might not know what the word is, we might not know what the answer should be, but then the tone can be a giveaway for us to know what exactly should be the subsisting idea with it. Read smart, doubt more, believe less. Be like a detective, be like Sherlock Holmes. Don't just agree to disagree. So towards the end, I would like to conclude by saying that we can now all be confident of the following. Always remember, guys, CAT VRC isn't cruel, it's clever. They're smart people. They're not mean people. Every wrong option has a reason for being there. Your job is to learn and grow. So learn, unlearn, relearn, loop. That's how you need to be. And if this, of course, this video has helped, go binge onto some questions, try and be careful of these 5 things. Make sure that you have them written on top and you revise them before jumping onto any of the VRC sections, so that those at least are the kinds of wrongs that you don't fall for. And every question will have one of the traps. That's one option less, which is a huge task, because out of the 4 options, we're always able to eliminate the 2. Between the 2 is where the fight is. And between the 2, one of it would be reflecting of either of the traps that we just discussed. I hope this session was absolutely valuable for all of you. Please do share it with other like-minded friends who are also preparing, who are also stuck in this rut. And let's put some method to madness. Let's try and trim down our chaos and be able to be VARC fighters and not VARC floppers. That was me trying to ease out all of the anxiety that you must be having just before the exams with 5 traps that you must not fall for. Put this to action and you're going to see that star is your limit. Thank you so much for giving me your valuable time, everybody. Until next time. Thanks again.